Brother, it hasn't even been 2 seconds into the series yet, and some irrelevant ass characters are already talking some of that BS, acting like our MC Deborah ain't the baddest bitch in every room she has ever walked in, as she proves this by glaring at a butler, walking over to said butler, and slapping him like he should be working the corner right now. Matter of fact, slapped his goofy ass so hard his hair fell off. And as he's like, "But princess, what'd I even do?" For Deborah's response to be, "Oh my, would you look at that? It seems your face attracted my hand." As the bystanders start feigning, like, "Nah though, for real, what'd I do?" She reiterates, once again, that his face was just so attractive that her hand had to cop a feel. So he should be careful with a face like that, cause next time, both of her hands might want to cop a feel of his throat. Her reason for doing this: 1, he had an affair, and 2, pushing his pregnant wife down the stairs and breaking her spleen. As the rest of the constituents start gossiping, as for Deborah, she grabs a drink as she doesn't give a fuck about any of these motherfuckers here, since she's virtually untouchable, as she's the Duke's daughter. While the gathering continues on, Deborah just kicking it and drinking all by herself. But the hating ass bitch alarm is going off as Viscountess Ripley comes over and says she has to speak with her. Deborah's like, "Oh really? What do you have to say to me, Ripley?" Ripley, realizing she's not even in the same timeline as Deborah, remembers that damn, she thinks she left her oven on. And Deborah's quite glad she left, cause you see, Deborah isn't really Deborah. She's actually Yoon Do-hee, a woman from South Korea who's actually quite the pushover. But after being murked by RC, she reincarnated and thought to herself that pushover shit, yeah, we ain't running that back. But let us go back to when she first possessed Deborah, where she was at first confused and trying to wake herself up, but then Do-hee gets starstruck by just how beautiful she had become. But a maid walks in and sees her doing these things, and she drops the meal and starts shaking in her boots, saying how she's committed a sin worthy to be hung and burned alive, and how she saw nothing. So please spare her. So you see, the thing is, Deborah is from a web novel Do-hee used to read before she got hit-sticked out of life. And Deborah didn't have the greatest reputation among anyone. Matter of fact, the fan favorite opinion of her are along the same line of Rachel from Tower God. And let me tell you something, I fucking hate Rachel with a passion that is unquantifiable by any math algorithm that currently exists. But back to Deborah. Yeah, so in short, everyone can't stand her and can't wait for her to fuck off and vanish. Oh, and when I say everyone, I mean everyone, including her own father. So Do-hee, we're going to have a hell of an uphill battle to fight. But before Do-hee became Deborah, apparently she went on a hunger strike because she wanted the pink diamond, a jewelry piece that is the only one in existence. So yeah, that was the type of woman Deborah was, and unsurprisingly, they didn't give it to her. Also, with her charisma being in the negatives, it didn't help much either. And so because of this little stunt, it put Deborah further down on her father's shit list. The maid, who's still begging and crying, Do-hee, who's just like, fuck, this is a lot to process. What the fuck is happening? As like I said, the last memories she had from Earth is her getting her shit blasted by RC from Transformers, just to find herself waking up in a web novel, not as the heroine, or hell, even the heroine's friend, but the whole ass Villianess, to the entire plot line. But shit, ain't nothing she can do about that now. So she's stuck with this body and everything it's previously done. But on the bright side, it's rather convenient since she's now Deborah, people will leave her alone. And no one will see her as a pushover either. Plus, on top of that, she gets to live such a significantly more luxurious life compared to what she had to live previously. So that's already 3 dubs. It's now a little while later and Do-hee has invited Helen Zehort, a baron's daughter, over to show her a wild amount of dresses for a male to consider, but just your average Tuesday for a woman going shopping. Now, why does she need a dress? That's the kicker. She doesn't need one, she just wants one. So after showing Do-hee the dresses, Helen gets a tad bit shook as Do-hee is showing no reactions whatsoever, considering that 3 weeks ago she kicked down Helen's door like she was SWAT and was like, "You're gonna make me a dress." And Helen was like, "Damn, that's crazy. All our spots are reserved." And Deborah was like, "Oh, so you're rejecting my order?" Helen then cries, smiling, saying they'll get right on that, while thinking, "Oh, for fuck's sakes." So that's how we got here, with Do-hee making a face that would terrify some people and turn some people on, you fucking freaks. But truth is, Do-hee actually really loves this dress she made. I just guess those thoughts aren't registering to her face yet, as Helen's pretty much in a hostage situation without being in a hostage situation. However, while investigating the dress, the fur on it causes Do-hee to have to sneeze, but Do-hee for some reason thinks she shouldn't sneeze, so she has to hold it in. But Deborah's facial expression seemed to only range from irritated to furious, as Helen is currently suffering through a crisis that is not really a crisis, but sure as hell feels like it to Helen. But worry not, Helen, this is just her face when she's holding in a sneeze. Trust me, it is. no matter how much you may feel like your life is in danger right now. Oh, by the way, Dohee has not said a peep this entire time. She's only been thinking things, but the expressions Dohee are making terrify Helen enough to where she says, "That's my fault, OG. We gonna take these back and make some more that fit your taste ASAP." And Dohee finally speaks and says, "Good. Make sure to put as many jewels as possible on them." Helen and the gang skedaddle the fuck out of there like it smelled like a Super Smash Brothers tournament, as Dohee's glad she passed this self-proclaimed crisis. After said self-proclaimed crisis, Dohee is just staring at Deborah's face in awe of how pretty she is. Like, she's too pretty. But also with Deborah's eyes, it makes her seem like she's a problem. Instead of back on Earth, with Dohee's plain looks and docile personality, she looked like what people in the streets will call a mark. But now with Deborah's face, eyes, and personality, people will leave her alone, and she loves it. But now it's time for Dohee's private tutoring session, because apparently Deborah was a terrible student, as when it came to academics, some would describe Deborah as aloof or a master procrastinator. While walking around the mansion, she runs into husbando numero uno, Velric Seymour, who's the son of yada yada. The most important thing here about him is that he himself is a nutjob, Cocoa for Cocoa Puffs, Nutty Professor, and so on. Now, if this was the OG Deborah, she would have lost her mind by just seeing him. For Dohee, this is okay, because thanks to Velric and his twin brother, yes, that's right, he has a twin brother, she gets to live a life on easy mode thanks to those punks. Dohee opens the door and we see the tutor, Patrick. And so Patrick goes into a history lesson, and after going on about the history of the continent, and I'm assuming Dohee's listening, but with the face she's currently making, it's entirely possible she's zoned out. But I guess she was listening, because it made her realize just the type of golden, platinum, diamond spoon Deborah was born with because of her lineage. So just how fucking crazy were her actions to meet the kind of pathetic fate that befalls her. But it doesn't matter to Dohee, as Dohee thinks, "Ain't gonna let that shit happen to me though." And that was Isn't Being a Wicked Woman Much Better, or its alternate title, The Perks of Being a Villainess. The first 3 chapters at least, The Perks of Being a Villainess, are brought to you by last week's poll, where Villianess managed to get the victory. Anyways, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, like, subscribe, ring that bell. It all helps the channel very much. That's all I got. I am gone. Peace.